Okay, why don't we go ahead and get started? Well, first of all, welcome and thank you for joining us to celebrate Global Accessibility Awareness Day at RedShelf with our webinar, Improving Accessibility Together, It Takes a Village. My name is Erin Lucas. I'm the Director of Digital Accessibility at RedShelf. And just a little background on me. Prior to coming to RedShelf, I spent over 20 years in IT in the Fed sector. Last 15 of those years that I was at the DOT, Department of Defense, managing design and development teams where accessibility was a part of our everyday life, just like it is for us at RedShelf and of course in the higher ed sector. So the idea for this webinar was born from a panel discussion we participated in at CAMX this year. It was about how it takes a village, people working together to affect change on campus. And we wanted to continue that momentum by expanding a bit more on how accessibility is a priority for us here at RedShelf and how we're allies for all of our partners on and off campus. So before we start, I just want to remind everybody that this webinar is not being live captioned, but we will make a captioned version available post-webinar, so be on the lookout for that. For those of you who requested advanced copies, you should have received those as well. We encourage questions, so please use the questions tab in the GoToMeeting dashboard to submit those questions and we'll review them later. If you have any kind of immediate need, you can email me directly after the webinar at erin@redshelf.com. So before we go through the agenda, I just wanted to remind everyone that this is not going to be a product demo. Of course, those are really best done in person. And that we will be giving you a little bit of background on RedShelf for those of you who may not be familiar with us or don't have us on your campus yet. We're also not going to be reviewing a whole lot of technical stuff like accessibility checklists or code or anything like that. So like I mentioned, we're going to talk about who we are, give you an intro to our e-reader, give you a basic primer on accessibility. I know a lot of accessibility offices have joined us today, but there may be a few folks who are not quite sure what that means, so we'll explain it. Go through our motto with regards to accessibility and our processes, the whole idea of working together, and then of course answering your questions. So RedShelf is a digital textbook company that streamlines the delivery and distribution of ebooks and textbooks. We work directly with over 500 publishers, with more than 100 of those using inclusive access, over 640 institutions with more than 175 of those using inclusive access, and with industry partners like learning management system, point of sale systems, and other data systems. We provide accessible and affordable course materials through our product suite. And the cornerstone of our products is the RedShelf e-reader. It's a web-based e-textbook solution with features like flashcards, study guides, highlighting, and collaboration with professors. The RedShelf Bookstore is a distribution channel for textbooks through both the bookstore and via an online school-branded website called a white label. RedShelf Inclusive is an end-to-end content delivery system where students have access to less expensive materials on the first day of class via their learning management systems. So like I mentioned, our e-reader is our cornerstone. It's built very much with students in mind. We've done thousands of user tests. We've gotten a lot of thoughtful feedback, and we're constantly improving the e-reader to provide the best digital learning experience for everyone. So let's get into some of the most recent additions to the reader, changes that we've made to it. Over the last year, we've really been concentrating on accessibility improvements as well as usability improvements. So what you're seeing on the screen here now is what our V5 reader used to look like. And now our V6 reader has had a complete overhaul. So the usability is improved. There's a lot of new accessibility features, which of course improves the accessibility. We're providing a lot more support for assistive technologies and even some customized support. So a better focus and navigation within the reader for screen readers. And since this isn't a live demo, I wanted to provide on the screen the NVDA speech viewer box, which outlines what the screen reader is saying while you're navigating through. So you can see the process of returning to the page number and then seeing where you are, opening that list, and then navigating to another page in the book. We've also created some custom keyboard shortcuts, and some of those keyboard shortcuts are specifically for screen readers. And you can find those keyboard shortcuts in the sidebar under Help and Support. We also have a beta text-to-speech tool. So it's located in our experimental features section, and it reads the book aloud to you. So we released it as a beta so we could gather a lot of feedback from accessibility offices and students on how it works, so that when we roll out the final product, it's the best product that it can be. So we wanted to make sure that everyone understands how we handle content for the reader. There's really a lot that goes into it to make sure that we have the most accessible experience, both with the content and with the reader. So we encourage a lot of best practices with the publishers, like EPUBs versus PDF, because as you know, EPUBs are essentially HTML, so that makes them far more accessible. And then proper formatting of those files to make sure that they're exposed correctly to assistive technologies. And then, of course, we're constantly improving the way that we ingest that content and process it for the e-reader, which helps us to deliver the content in the most accessible way possible. And again, the quick primer here on accessibility. So accessible software or websites are designed to work for everyone, regardless of hardware, software, or ability. And they conform to federally mandated accessibility standards. So some of those standards are Section 508 of the Americans with Disabilities Act, also known as the ADA, and the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, which you may have heard this acronym, WCAG. And then a fun fact about accessibility is that you can shorten it by saying A11Y, or we sometimes say ALLY, and that's really just a replacement for the letters between A and Y, to shorten the word. And then for those of us who, even though we work in accessibility, spell it wrong all the time, it's a nice, good replacement for the word. So what is our motto at RedShelf with regards to accessibility? Our motto is that it's not a feature, it is a requirement. We are dedicated to the accessibility first mindset. We are improving our processes to help improve our products. Accessibility and usability enhancements are always ongoing in our reader. We're always trying to make things better for everyone. We ask how we can help you help students succeed. And we are debunking that 100% accessible myth, because we hear that a lot in the industry. So we'll get into that a little bit later about how you can never be 100% accessible 100% of the time. So what does accessibility first mean to us? So what it means is we've woven it into everything that we do. Every new RedShelf new hire receives accessibility training, so they know what it is, why it's important, how it affects our school and pub partners, why it's important to them, even how it's integrated into our development life cycle and testing. Our accessibility commitment is clearly stated in the new employee handbook. And then it's very important to know that our accessibility team members are RedShelf employees, not consultants. So when you're talking to our accessibility team, you're talking to people who sit with the development and product teams, attend stand-up and sprint planning meetings, and do testing and analysis of our products. And of course, most importantly, answer any accessibility questions. So knowing that, you know, we are here with all the other RedShelfers means that your success is our success, and we take that commitment very seriously. Again, I mentioned we're constantly improving our products, and our goal is to provide the most accessible products. So they are built with reusable, accessible components within a framework. And our development teams practice what's called an agile methodology, which really just means that we're able to release fixes and updates quickly. We also believe in one tool for everyone instead of creating a separate tool, not separate but equal. Our accessibility teams works with all of our product teams to make sure that accessibility is included in our product roadmaps. So not only are we thinking about accessibility today and tomorrow, but we're thinking about it for the rest of this year and the following year, et cetera. And this graphic, I bring this up because we get asked this question a lot by IT departments. Where do you include accessibility in your software development lifecycle? So for you IT nerds who might be on the call, you will recognize this graphic with this big red circle in the middle. But essentially, it just says here that we start at the beginning, at the UX and design phase, and identify enhancements or gaps in accessibility. We're constantly putting accessibility tickets into our sprints. Our developers do unit tests for accessibility. Our QA folks do acceptance tests for accessibility. And all the while, we're also doing manual testing with assistive technologies and, of course, the keyboard, all with the goal of having enhanced accessibility in each sprint. So now that you know the what and the how of accessibility at RedShelf, let's talk about why accessibility. So we are helping you help students, and we're focusing on outreach to campus accessibility offices, participating in accessibility conferences, and we're really going where the action is, asking questions and listening to your needs. Like, how can we help make your job easier? What do you need to help students succeed? How can we help you help them? What are we doing right? And even what are we doing wrong? That's why we really encourage feedback. We like to, work with accessibility offices on beta testing, because the more feedback we have, the better our products will be. And then again, that 100% accessible myth. So we like to sort of imagine being 100% accessible is like a digital utopia where there are unicorns and rainbows and where no students ever need an accommodation. Software never has a bug. There's no testing after release. Web standards never evolve. Technology never changes. Accessibility is quote unquote done, and time stands still. And we all know that this is not true. Accessibility is never done. You are always working on accessibility, especially in this day and age. Technology constantly changes, web standards evolve, so there really is no such thing. So instead of being a unicorn, be an intelligent, adaptable fox. Go beyond compliance with universal design and a positive user interaction. Be resourceful and determined to provide equivalent experiences for all, instead of a different experience for some. Think about accessibility as a social responsibility, enabling everyone's voice to be heard. And then circling back on this whole idea that it takes a village. Really, we talk to a whole lot of people on campus, and we're constantly, hearing how everyone is interested in accessibility and talking about accessibility, and schools are really looking for partners who have the same core values to facilitate that discussion. So we don't see accessibility as a problem to be solved necessarily, but an opportunity to become better at what we do for every student and helping our partners do the same. Again, it's proven that when a campus can all join together, talk about accessibility, that they can really bridge that gap. They really know that it takes a village. And our goal is definitely to be improving accessibility together. So how do we do that with each of the departments listed here? So with accessibility offices, having direct access to our accessibility team helps make your job easier. So one of the perks of my job is connecting with accessibility offices, whether we're talking in person or I meet you at a conference or we talk over the phone or email. Again, my goal is making your job easier. And I know that you have a wealth of knowledge that you want to share and collaborate on. And it's always just so nice to have that back and forth. So we can help transition students to digital, maybe those who have never used digital books before. We can help you understand that whole content versus software and how that fits into the alternate request process. We always loop you in on customer experience requests. What I mean by that is sometimes students who might be known to the accessibility office will come in via our customer experience team, maybe asking for an alternate version of a text. So when that happens, we always loop you in, we always let you know what's going on, and rest assured that we never send the file directly to the student. We always send it through the accessibility office for them to distribute to the student. We provide access to our products for accessibility. If they want to, check it out, test it out, we can always give you access. Again, that beta test participation that we offer has been really super popular, and we're getting a lot of great feedback about that. One of our most popular offerings is really that earlier and faster delivery for alternate text requests. We have been able to considerably cut down the time that it takes to get alternate requests, and that's been really, really popular. So publishers, how do we partner with them to streamline the distribution of accessible content? So like we mentioned before, we're always encouraging the use of EPUBs because they're more accessible. We establish protocols for accessibility requests for publishers who may not have that protocol in place. So we reach out to them, talk to them about it, and get that moving. We have accessibility agreements with a number of publishers where we act as their clearinghouse, if you will, to provide you with the PDF immediately. So there's no going and making a request online and then waiting. It's you ask us, we give you the file, which is, generally like less than a day's turnaround. We work directly with the accessibility teams with publishers. And what that means for you is that we can hook you up with those people if you ever run into issues with content or have questions about content or the accessibility of it. And our goal this year is to provide more dashboard style reporting and feedback to publishers, so it's sort of a one-stop shop so they can see how their content is working with us, get an idea of the kind of requests that we're getting from accessibility offices. IT departments. So other than talking through our software development lifecycle, we also get requests for our voluntary product accessibility template, or our VPAT. We answer product roadmap questions like, hey, I see that you have this new feature. When do you think it'll be done, basically? Product demos and access, of course. And our methods for testing for accessibility compliance. And we're always willing to walk them through our process and let them know what tools they'll be. Bookstore managers. We offer advice on how to champion accessibility on campuses. So we always encourage them to let the accessibility office to know that you offer digital books. The accessibility office might not know that RedShelf is on campus, and that would be a good thing for them to know. Make sure that your bookstore website is accessible. And if you don't know the answer to that, then you probably should ask your IT department, because you wouldn't want, say, a student or the parent of a student asking you that question and you not being able to answer it, or worse yet, telling you that it's not accessible. So that's one way that you can start that accessibility discussion with the IT department. And then connect with your library staff so they know that you offer digital books. A lot of libraries and librarians are extremely concerned with accessibility, so digital for them would certainly be a boon. And then don't be afraid to ask questions. We get questions all the time. Even if you don't consider yourself to be in the accessibility field necessarily, doesn't mean that we won't answer your question. Always willing to lend a hand. So libraries and librarians, we can provide input on who to connect to if you're trying to address student needs. So understanding how to help students if maybe they prefer digital content, if they learn better with digital content, we can see if RedShelf is on your campus and hook you up. So you should also be asking your bookstores if they're providing a digital alternative, because then you would know and you'd be able to help that student directly. And then we know that quite a few libraries have assistive technology labs within the libraries themselves. And, if you could sit down and, load RedShelf and get the book in front of you, say on a laptop or an iPad, then you wouldn't have to buy a physical book, tear it apart, scan it, and then load it in for assistive technologies to use. If you're using digital, you can do that right from the beginning. Professors and students. So we want to ensure that the needs of all users are being supported. So we work directly with students on testing features and incorporating their feedback. And like I mentioned, when students come through customer experience, they're very good at trying to really noodle out what their needs are, really getting to know the students and asking them for their help and assistance if they have a particular issue that's difficult to solve. And we've worked with a lot of students to talking directly to them on the phone and getting their feedback about how we can make accessibility better. And then of course we'll accommodate professor-student requests, and we're always working to get more accessible adoptions when possible. And then finally, RedShelf hopes to sponsor students interested in attending accessibility conferences. So a lot of students now are really have accessibility top of mind. They're very interested in it. I've even seen students organize accessibility conferences on their campus. And so the more we can sponsor students to learn about accessibility, the better the accessibility community will get. And then, speaking of the accessibility community, we are working constantly with the accessibility community on multiple fronts. So we partner with organizations like the DAISY Consortium. We're working to get listed on their epubtest.org site as our accessible reader. We're also working with the National Federation for the Blind. They help us do a lot of testing. We pass a lot of questions to them, especially about screen readers. And then we're also working to become one of their SNAP partners. Our staff delivers accessibility forward workshops and presentations at conferences all over the country. Our developers are very active in the Ember accessibility community. And when I say Ember, I mean those accessible components that I mentioned earlier. And we're also members of the International Association of Accessibility Professionals. And I am a certified trusted tester. So, you know, as you can see, if you're interested in making sure that all students succeed, it's really very important that everyone in higher education be involved in accessibility. Everyone working to improve accessibility together. So it's not just accessibility offices, it's not just publishers, it's IT departments, it's bookstore managers, it's libraries and librarians, professors and students, all working together with the accessibility community to make accessibility better. So why don't we move on to our Q&A. I noticed that we have actually a few questions that are questions that we get asked all the time that we had already preloaded into the deck. So why don't we go through those, and then if we have any others that need to be answered now during the webinar, we can certainly answer those. And rest assured, if you submit any questions that don't get answered, we will answer anything that is asked and send those questions and answers out to everyone. So first, what assistive technologies do you support? We support standard screen readers, of course, like JAWS and NVDA, native screen reading software like VoiceOver for Mac or Narrator for Windows, and browser plugins like Read and Write and Chromevox. Can you support Kurzweil? Yes, we can. So if publishers have those accessibility agreements that I mentioned previously, we can send our PDF file to the accessibility office directly, and then that can be ingested into Kurzweil directly. If they don't have an agreement or an established protocol, we can request permission to send our PDF file to the accessibility office. And sometimes publishers will like to contact you directly and discuss that protocol with you. So if that ever happens, we'll let you know. They're going to reach out to you, and we always follow up just to make sure that we've closed the loop and you have what you need. And then many publishers prefer another solution, and we have that documented so we can send that information to you. We will also, again, follow up and close the loop, make sure you have what you need. I've requested an alternate version from a publisher, but I haven't heard back yet, and the student is falling behind. Can you help? We can certainly reach out to the publisher accessibility teams for help, and that's why that's very important for us to be connected and express the concerns that you have and help get that file to you faster. And if you ever have any other kinds of publisher questions or need assistance, don't hesitate to ask. We will do our best to do everything we can for you. Do you have a text-to-speech option inside the reader? Yes. While I say that our narration feature is in beta, it is in our production version, our released version of our e-reader. So yes, you can currently use it. Just note that it does have not limited functionality, but it will have more functionality in the future. And so if you have a book that's in version or is in the V6 version of our reader, if you look in the experimental feature section, you will see it there, and you can start it and stop it when you don't need it to read to you anymore. And then if you want to be part of that team that's helping us with the testing beta features like narration, just email us and we will add you to that list. And then we are planning to roll out a full version of this feature soon, so keep your questions and comments coming. Can we send you requests for alternate text directly? Of course. And of course, the sooner the better. You can send them anytime. But if you know of a student that has a need before the term begins, you can always send that request in early. And also, if you have students that are in inclusive access and they're going to get first day access to their books, and they're a known student to you, and that chances are pretty good that they're going to want to learn a specific way and they might need some sort of accommodation, you can let us know that as well. And then what if I'm having problems with content like missing alt tags? Can you help? Yes. Well, technically, what we'll do is pass that information along to the publisher, and the publisher can make those modifications to their content, but we will work with them, of course, to find a solution. So I'm just seeing a couple of questions here from our moderator. Does your e-reader have offline access? Yes, we have offline access. And you can take a certain portion of the book offline at a time, and so that's easy to accomplish. Just look in the sidebar, and you can select the pages that you need to take offline and take those offline. And then what it'll also do is tell you how long you can have that content offline, and then that'll sort of once that time period is over, then you can go select another section of the content and take that offline as well. And then we're also asking about encouraging EPUBs over PDFs. Well, EPUBs by their nature are more accessible than PDFs. PDFs are extremely useful for things like Kurzweil, because Kurzweil doesn't currently ingest EPUBs. So that's probably one of the reasons why PDFs persist. And of course, PDFs in some ways can be a little bit easier. So, but EPUBs are HTML. They're accessible for web-based readers like ours, and can be ingested easily for display on the web or in a digital e-reader. Okay, I don't see any other specific questions coming through. Okay, so again, if you have other questions, definitely don't hesitate to put them into the question section or send them over. We love hearing from you. And, we also, I'm going to kind of toot our accessibility horn here for a minute. We're very proud of our accessibility commitment, and we really appreciate it. When we get comments from our partners like, thank you for the opportunity to give my personal feedback about this software. Thanks so much for your efforts. I would love to help you test any solutions that you guys come up with. And then thank you for your amazing assistance. And thank you all for joining us for this webinar today. If you're interested in meeting to discuss accessibility, seeing a demo of our e-reader, or asking questions about anything else you've seen here today, like inclusive, let's make that happen. If you have an idea for additional webinar topics, we get ideas for this all the time, especially from our accessibility offices, let us know. And any questions or comments, as always, please email me at erin@redshelf.com. So thanks again for joining us and helping us celebrate Global Accessibility Awareness Day. Have a fabulous rest of your Thursday and an awesome weekend.